Hello YouTube, this is Oliver G from the Earful Tower. What you're about to see is a nice long walk through the Père Lachaise Cemetery in the 20th arrondissement. What you're about to hear, the audio, is from the first episode of the Paris Countdown season of the Earful Tower podcast. And this is where my wife and I spent 24 hours in each of the Paris arrondissements, from 20 all the way through to 1. So while you're watching this walk through the 20th arrondissement, through the cemetery, you'll be hearing our tips and tricks for visiting the whole district, which incidentally is the birthplace and final resting place of Edith Piaf. But you'll hear us talk about all sorts of things, restaurants, streets to walk down, sights to see, these kind of things. And you'll also hear our highly scientific ranking of the neighborhood at the end, which will go all through this season. This YouTube season is brought to you by Live Tours. So before we get into our visit, I asked the team at Live Tours for their top recommendation in the 20th arrondissement, and here is what they said. It's very relevant to this video. They said the lovely and leafy 20th arrondissement is often hailed as the new Montmartre. There's a lively scene on every street, but we recommend visitors enjoy the peace, tranquility, and somber beauty of the Père Lachaise Cemetery. It's a historic cemetery founded by Napoleon on the grounds of an old monastery, and our walking tour there takes you past some of the most famed graves from Oscar Wilde to Chopin, Eloise and Abelard, Edith Piaf, and Jim Morrison. Let us show you the history of Paris and the way of life and death of Parisians. Thanks to Live Tours for those tips. You can find their cemetery tour and all their Paris tours at livetours.com, which is linked in the description below. Let's get on with the show. So, Lina.
Yes, hello.
Welcome to a new season of the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited.
And for those tuning in for the first time, Lena's my wife and kind of the sidekick.
And confidante.
In your words, sidekick. I would never call you a sidekick.
No, but I thought it was it was a good description for my role in this season.
Yeah.
I said that I am the Robin to your Batman.
That's
and
right.
Usually, folks at home, I'm the Batman, of course.
That's true.
In our relationship.
I'm a Superman. But what we're going to do is we're going to take you guys through everything we did in the 20th, and in the hopes of giving you a glimpse into this very interesting neighborhood. I talked about Edith Piaf in the intro. She was a big part.
Yeah, she was kind of the focus.
She was a bigger part than I would have guessed.
Yeah.
And I guess she's one of the most famous French people ever, and she was born there and she performed there. So,
Exactly.
we kept crossing her
But she was
path.
the muse for this arrondissement, I think.
The muse.
Yeah.
So let's talk about when we arrived there. And straight away, it was very clear upon arrival in Belleville. And we stayed right in the corner of Belleville at a hotel called Babel Belleville. Mm-hmm. I think it was very clear this was different to the Paris that I think a lot of people are used to or expect when you talk about Paris.
Yeah, that you imagine with the berets and the Eiffel Tower. There's none of that, really.
Especially because we arrived on market day.
Yeah.
So,
no, it was like busy, bustling, colorful. It was just, it was great.
there were more people in that market than I think I've ever seen in a Paris market before as well. It was thin, and we had a pushchair, so pushing through.
Yeah.
But the thing that's really cool is because we're sort of turning into tourist mode, we want to experience everything to the utmost. We're stopping and talking to the street sellers. I bought some. I still don't know what it was.
Yeah, I don't know what it was either, but it's kind of like a crepe, but not.
Yeah, kind of like an Algerian crepe.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, there's also that kind of theme for the area is it's very diverse. There's a lot going on. And we got sort of hit with that immediately. So we checked into the hotel, left our bag, and went straight into that market. And it's different, like compared to the markets in other parts of Paris, they can be quite calm. This was the opposite. People yelling. And this guy put a clementine in my hand. Taste it. Like it was. And I did. And it was great.
Immersive.
Yeah. Oh, it was immersive.
It was immersive.
So that was like, in terms of first impressions, it was very clear that there were a lot more people. And something we noticed as time passed a little bit, far fewer tourists.
Exactly.
If you compare it to being in the Eiffel Tower kind of area, the Marais or Montmartre, where there are a lot of tourists,
Yeah.
none.
No, none of that. No tourist shops, really.
No, so they're not catered to either.
Yeah.
And I noticed the shops a lot of them were empty. Like closed down or...
It was just more of a like a residential, like real.
Exactly.
Yeah, not like a polished Paris.
And we had, so our plan was that we'd sort of explore the area for the day and then go to this amazing show, Le Vieux Belleville, which was definitely the highlight of the trip because we knew that on Tuesdays was Edith Piaf night. But more on that in a second. We went for this long walk, a really, really long walk. And
The 20th is a big district, so a lot of walking to be able to see it all.
And we set our sights on two things on the far side of the district. There's a place called Peppe's Pizza,
Yeah.
which was ranked the best pizza in Europe.
In Europe.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
So what we tried to do on this
was
trip,
very good.
we tried to find all the things like talking points of the district.
Yeah,
And-
things that stood out, the things that were really representative of the area, people that had like a story or a connection to it.
Exactly. And on the way to Pepe's Pizza, we passed through essentially the only tourist attraction in the whole district.
Yeah.
The Père Lachaise Cemetery.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about this a little bit. Firstly,
Do you like it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about it for a reason is because we hadn't been there for like, what?
Oh, years. We used to live in the 11th. I actually
to
live
live-
in the
yeah.
20th.
Yeah.
And I went a
Like
couple of times.
7 or 8
yeah,
years
yeah,
ago.
like my very first apartment.
Yeah.
So I knew the area pretty well, but it's so big.
Did you
There's-
visit Père Lachaise when you were...
Yeah, a couple of times, but I haven't really been back since.
Well,
so it's been
I went back for a
years.
story maybe 4 years ago, and I haven't been back since. And I never had the urge to go back. I don't know. I'd been to the Montmartre Cemetery many times when we lived there, and I really
Yeah.
liked it. But going back to Père Lachaise, again, no one should miss it.
Yeah, it's
No one
beautiful.
should miss it. If you've got a morning or an afternoon to spend in Paris, it really is just a stunning collection of...
You just enter a different world
Mm.
when you go through those gates.
I will say that it's not, definitely not wheelchair friendly if you're a
No.
wheelchair.
It's not pushchair friendly.
Not pushchair friendly
We found
at all.
out.
It's huge cobblestones
Yeah.
and like you can't wheel in there essentially. But
No.
I guess it wasn't built for it. But all the famous graves are in there. As we walked in, I asked the guy like the most famous gravestone. I was like, "What is it? What's the most famous thing?" And he said Jim Morrison, but the interest is waning as new generations.
They don't know who he is, maybe.
I guess so. Yeah.
I wonder who the new is.
I don't know, but I'll tell you this.
The new hit.
I did go and find the ultimate hit
Yeah.
in Père Lachaise. I'm not talking about Oscar Wilde. Talking about our friend Edith.
Edith Piaf.
I think a lot of people might struggle to find her grave. Like, it's not a
Oh,
big...
you struggled.
Oh, I struggled because I had
Yeah.
the pushchair and you went ahead to the pizza shop.
Yeah.
And the thing is, on the map, all the aisles or whatever you call them, they're really
the
small.
streets,
and you
sort of.
feel like it's a street when you look on the map. So you're like, I've got to walk this way for maybe 100 meters, but really it's 10 meters. So I was carrying the pushchair with the baby in it. Oh, it was hard. And I was like, what? It was that close all
Oh my
along.
God.
And the grave isn't like, it's not some majestic kind of statued grave as some other singers have in Paris. We'll
like
get to that.
Somewhat unassuming.
Rather.
Like her little black dress that she wore. Kind of unassuming.
But I snapped a picture of it and got on with it to the pizza, which I think lived up to the hype.
Oh, that was delicious. So good.
It had
Especially after a long walk.
had marmalade on the one that we got.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, which was a nice
like
touch.
that.
Cheese and marmalade, like jam, like strawberry, like
Like fig or
do they
something?
call it marmalade in America?
I don't know. Jam?
Yeah.
Jam?
Anyway, delicious. But what we did is we took it in hand and walked up. And I should add all the addresses and the names are going to be on the website in the show notes. We're going to make it very clear and pictures. So
Oh, yeah, be like a full guide.
Yep. So it could even be the guide of how to spend 24 hours.
Yeah.
So then what we figured we'd do is there'd been a lot of talk of the countryside of Paris.
Yes, people kept recommending it.
An area in French they call the Campagne de Paris. And it's hard to get to. There's only one street that goes to it because it's all steps and lots of
Yeah.
steps. And we'd heard from our cab driver on the way over that...
Yeah, he was a bit of a gossip, wasn't he? I love that.
His friend, this cab driver, his friend runs a cafe right there. And his friend says that François Hollande, the previous president of France, lives up in that countryside bit, which I found really weird. Like, why would you live...
Like, why there?
It's so remote. It's at that very edge of the district.
I don't know if I believe it. Do you believe it?
I believe it,
Did you research it?
No, I didn't find it. I looked for him when we were there. But it is really lovely. When we got in there, it was all like 1- and 2-story cottage houses.
Yeah.
They were built next to each other, but it's rare in Paris to see such low housing.
Yeah, and just different. You're used to the Haussmannian buildings, you know. That's what we know. But
I'm not entirely sure, but I think they built it like that because it's above the quarries and the mines below, so they didn't want to put too heavy buildings.
Oh, really?
I know that's generally the case up there in the 19th, but that makes sense, and it was beautiful. And I would recommend people, if you're in the area, go and check it out for your Instagram photo.
Yeah, exactly.
But
it's good for like a 15-minute walk.
Yeah, don't make the trek though.
No.
It's definitely not
There are
worth
better
trekking.
things to do.
Yeah, there are other...
But it's lovely if you're nearby.
Yeah. So from there, that's where the real fun began. Because we put the baby to bed, got the babysitter in, and we went to... And this is the kind of focus of this episode, I think, and of the district. And like I said, everything we talk about will be brutally honest.
Yeah.
And as we were walking up, so what we knew about this place, Le Vieux Belleville restaurant, we knew it was typical kind of French food. We knew that it was music involved.
We knew that it was a bit touristy, cheesy, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We sensed it.
I mean, if you have like an Edith Piaf cover band...
Yeah.
It's, you know, it sounds a bit touristy.
But I love...
So this is what we, like, came in to think.
I remember I said to the photographer as we went in, and she got the best pictures.
Yeah.
The best pictures.
So good.
I want everyone to go check it out. But as we walked in, I said, look, if this is really lame, let's leave after 15 minutes and go take other pictures around Belleville. Because with the photographer, we got it for an hour, and I always want to make the most of it. So guess what? I think we stayed for 3 hours.
That says it all, doesn't it?
That's the testament to this night. So how it works is, and we were late as well, so we kind of got off on the wrong foot. And I contacted and said that we'd be taking photos and that I was a journalist. And so we got in there late, and the guy sat us, and I sensed that it was a little bit...
Like tense?
The music was a bit about to start.
Yeah,
and sort of been...
But I have to say, you warmed up the guy, like, straight away.
Yeah, I think one of the tricks with interviewing people for a living is you have to be able to make them feel good.
Push the right button.
Straight away.
Yeah.
And as we were sitting down, we were speaking in French, but there's a big picture of him on the wall.
Yeah, like a painted picture, a portrait.
Yeah. And he was seating us really quickly because the show was about to start. And the mood was kind of weird. And I said, oh, I love that painting. I didn't know that George Clooney had been a guest here before. This guy... His whole demeanor changed. He started like nudging people around. Did
you hear? Did you hear?
And from that moment on, it was just the most wonderful night.
Yeah.
So they give you menus. They give you with the menus song lyrics. And on Tuesday night up there, it's Edith Piaf night. So everything was going to be Edith. And then this really friendly accordionist comes out
with the biggest smile.
So you can imagine you're sitting there, smiling, accordionist, and then this young lady, turns out she's Polish, starts singing the Edith Piaf and encouraging everybody to sing along.
Yeah.
And I think people listening to this might sort of be like, oh, I don't want to be singing in public, especially in French.
But it wasn't like that. It was like the vibe. I felt like the vibe of the whole like evening was that... it sort of felt like we were crashing a French family's dinner party.
We were definitely the only foreigners there.
That's what it felt like.
Not
it felt
crashing,
really,
like
it felt like really
they invited us
exactly.
at the last second.
Yeah.
And like, come in, no, there's space for you. That's
it's
what
like
it felt
they were celebrating Christmas or something, and everyone was sharing, you know, they weren't sharing food, but you know,
sharing moments, that's for
sharing
sure.
moments, laughs.
Like
you know, we all stood up in the middle of the restaurant, had a little
dance
dance,
session,
sang together, like
girls
versus boys.
The guy at the table next to us was like nodding along when I sang louder.
Yeah.
Like he was like, yes, that's what this is all about.
Yes.
And then when one of my favorite songs, Non, je ne regrette rien.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I spit on you?
Just a bit.
When that came
Let
on,
me get my umbrella.
I was coming out of the bathroom and I didn't have my lyrics with, and everyone was standing up, and he's like, "Come join with me," and he's trying to point out the lyrics to me. I'm like, I know the lyrics to this song. Come on. And it was just great. There was this like real fun energy in the room. Utterly surprising how much fun it was.
Yeah. No, it was like I genuinely recommend this. I want to bring my family to this.
Yep, me too.
I want to go with a bunch of friends.
Yeah.
You know, that it was just really fun.
And there was like, even if you don't know the songs, you can you can play along or you can hum along, or like there was one bit, I didn't mean to do it, but when she was singing a song that was really like that, and I just sort of, without even thinking about it, just went like that. And everybody just turned around.
Yeah,
and
you just like
laughing.
practiced
I
it.
didn't mean to,
Yeah.
Maybe it was the wine flowing. I don't know.
Maybe.
The food, typical bistro food, I think it's exactly what you'd expect.
Nothing out of the ordinary.
But the vibe was really cool.
But the vibe was everything.
Because it was small, and that George Clooney owner, who was born on the street, he was born on the street of that restaurant.
Yeah.
Like he was walking back and forth between the bar, the waiters were, Edith was singing and dancing, twirling. Everyone was almost knocking each other over.
Yeah.
It just had this, I kind of felt like it was, I feel like Edith would have liked it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I definitely, yeah.
So
For
I also I started to interview Joseph, the guy that owns the place, and within 30 seconds he said, I'm not comfortable speaking English. But the real score in terms of the interview was Edith Piaf herself. I found out she spoke excellent English, and even though it was a stormy night, we went right out the front of the restaurant. There's this big sort of archway.
Yeah.
And we went and stood out of the rain there, and I asked her about a little bit about herself and Belleville. Gosha.
Yeah.
Gosha.
Yeah. Hi.
You say it.
Gosha.
Yes, that's
Great.
what I said.
You did.
Before we say anything, what a wonderful, wonderful performance you just did. Honestly, it was wonderful. I loved it. So thank you for the show.
Thank you.
I want to talk to you about the show. I want to talk about Edith Piaf, and I want to talk about the 20th.
Perfect.
Where did we begin?
Well, wherever you want.
Maybe we start with how on earth you started singing Edith Piaf in Belleville. How did that happen? As a Polish woman.
Yeah,
this
I know.
Is not...
I know. It's so funny. I started learning French by singing Edith Piaf. I think I adore the place where her singing is coming from. I always did.
Do you mean like the emotion or something?
Yeah, it's just a very gut kind of singing, and also a very, like, she comes from the streets, so it's this popular, is the popular kind of singing that even lots of French people do not do now or remember. Actually, Piaf is an icon, but it does not mean that lots of people really know her music or listen to her music still.
Do you think it's getting less popular now? Or is there a Piaf revival going on?
I don't know if there's a Piaf revival. I think that there are always people that adore Piaf and will always listen to her, and some people that for whom it's old. Yeah. But for me, this kind of singing, this very gut, and coming from the street, was very. I was seduced by it.
And then you ended up living in Belleville.
Yeah.
And then you ended up singing in Le Vieux Belleville.
Yeah.
How long have you been singing here for?
I started in 2016.
Okay, cool.
So it's like 6 years, yeah.
So tell me what, and you don't have to say if we were a good crowd or a bad crowd. I don't want to hear, because I fear maybe it wasn't the best.
Yeah, you were lovely.
You think? What makes a good crowd, though? For anyone listening to this who plans to come and watch you one day, what makes a really good crowd?
I mean, the good crowd is just the people that... And very often it's a wonderful crowd in that place. Because I think that even, like, people, especially in Paris, they are not very much used to singing and singing together. Yeah. But in here, like, very quickly, like, the first 5 minutes pass when people say, oh no, I have to sing, oh no. People are like, oh, I can sing. Oh, that's great. I actually can. So...
it's the wine.
And of course, like, whatever it takes, I don't care. But like, I adore the fact that I never know what's going to happen. It's not a concert. It's more, for me, it's more like a ritual. Yeah. I know that the evening worked if I feel that people in the end are just looking at each other and just like talking with each other and exchanging phone numbers and you know, and asking questions of their neighbors. It's not something that you see very often in Paris.
It's a cool vibe in there. I really was enjoying it. And before we get onto the subject of Belleville, and the 20e in general, I need to know, and you need to give me one answer. Which, and there's only one answer. Don't tell me like lots of the songs or anything. Which is the best Edith Piaf song?
The best of my favorite, because
your favorite.
Yeah. My favorite song is called Je m'en fous pas mal.
Okay, I don't know that one.
By Michel Emer.
Do you dare to sing it now in this tunnel a little bit? Do you dare?
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if the neighbors will be happy,
Go
but...
on, do 10 seconds, go on. This could be good acoustics in here. We're standing in a
Je
tunnel.
m'en fous pas mal, il peut m'arriver n'importe quoi, je m'en fous pas mal. Je mon dimanche qui est à moi, c'est peut-être banal, mais c'est que là j'en pense de vous, ça m'est égal. Je m'en fous.
I love that. That was one of my favorite things that's happened on this podcast. Someone's even come to watch. Thank you for singing. That was just delightful. I know you didn't ask, but my favorite was the final song that you did, Allez, venez, Milord.
Milord, yeah.
Except, you know, I'll tell you, when I studied French in high school, and we had it was a Polish guy who was the
teacher.
teacher.
Here you go, that's destiny. That's destiny.
Right?
This is amazing. Like, the best French things happens with Polish people.
Apparently,
I don't know why. What's happening? I don't know.
And he showed us, his name was Monsieur Zilonkar.
Okay.
How would you say it in Polish?
Zielonka.
Okay, Zielonka.
I think.
And
I'm sorry, Mr. Zielonka, this is not your name.
He's not listening. And he said, yeah, maybe. He gave us a bunch of, he said, listen to Edith Piaf as homework. And I came in the next day and I said, Monsieur Zielonka, my favorite song was Milord. And he said, he goes, Oliver, it is about prostitutes. Like, really, is that what it's about, right? It is? He was kind of disappointed that was my favorite.
Well, that's on him, not on you.
Yeah, right. That's
and there's
on
nothing,
him.
and there is nothing nothing wrong with
There's
working
nothing wrong
girls.
with it, but yeah, right. But I think maybe I don't know. Maybe he wanted me to have a different favorite. I don't know. It's stuck with me this whole time. But,
yeah, that's good.
But it was really
honor
nice.
your choice.
It was really nice the way you guys. But to the subject of Belleville and the 20e in general, when I said to you I was doing a podcast about this area, you said this is the best district of Paris.
I sincerely think so. I mean, it's getting really gentrified. But like when I lived here, so this is the district when Piaf was born, and it was traditionally a very working class area, and so it's a lovely place, very mixed, and there's really the life of the neighborhood, the real life of the neighborhood, and people that are really attached to this place, and there are no tourists.
I noticed that when I was walking around today. I didn't see any tourists at all.
Yeah.
Except at Père Lachaise.
Yeah, but you're already a little bit out of the and you have the best view of Paris here. But it's just a very original Parisian feel.
So do you think maybe with this gentrification that it's gonna stop becoming the best district of Paris?
There is always the fear of that. This is the history of Paris, though, isn't it? Like, this is what happened with Montmartre and Montparnasse and Saint-Germain. But
so basically we need to enjoy it while it lasts then.
Always.
Well, on that note, I won't take any more of your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you're here once a month?
I'm here once a month.
On the Tuesday. So how are people going to know to come and find you if they're listening and they want to come and see you perform?
Well, just come on whatever night. If it's not me, it's going to be somebody else, and they're all amazing.
There you go. I love that attitude. Let's get back inside and have a glass of wine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice that she sung, huh?
Yeah, so sweet.
So, Le Vieux Belleville really captured for us, without feeling touristy at all, the vibe of the neighborhood.
Gimmicky, but in a really good way.
I'm gonna, like I said, I'll be
in a very real way.
Yep. And like I said, I'm going to be brutally honest. The negatives, I think the lighting.
I was just going to say, the only thing that I wasn't like,
especially when you're singing, it's like if you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in full light.
I wouldn't mind a couple of candles in there.
Yeah. So if you guys are listening,
bring
maybe
your own candles.
If the restaurant is listening, dim the lights a little.
Yeah,
I think it will. You know, there's extremes. Like if you go to some places like the Crazy Horse or the Moulin Rouge or something, it's too dark.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to be seen, maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm kidding.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Or maybe it's about the show or something. But in this, it was a bit too bright. But anyway, If you find yourself up there, remember that right there is a very beautiful view of Paris, especially at night. It's really a unique view of Paris over the Parc de Belleville.
You can see so far.
And you can get that the sort of eye of Sauron, like searchlight.
Do you mean the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah, no, but the
light
light
that
of
goes around it. Yeah.
You can get that, and then if you're feeling young and adventurous, and if your babysitter still has time, you can do as we did, and we walked down to Rue de Belleville, which is where Edith Piaf was born.
Towards the heart of Belleville and the 20th, I think.
And indeed, you're getting right to the edge. So if you take one more step from Aux Folies, the bar that we went to, where Edith Piaf used to perform, her face is all over the place too.
Yeah.
Apparently it's a protected site. Like that old bar. Yeah, that's what the cab driver was saying. Because his friends run that, so that was
switched
connected.
off a little bit.
So this bar is like neon lights, old school, like
Yeah, but really,
old
really
Paris.
good. Old Paris, but young.
Young people.
Old Paris, but young vibe,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Lena tried
But not too young.
You tried to get like a cocktail, and it's like, no, they don't. It's not. It's like cheap drinks.
Yeah.
Get on with the next
Cheap,
drink. Have
quick.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
really,
really-
very good lighting.
Very picturesque. So if you guys see romantic pictures of me with my arm around Lena, that's where we were.
Yeah.
The photographer hung around.
She did.
And
Yeah.
then we went back to the hotel. So the hotel Babel Belleville, that was a tricky one.
Yeah, but there aren't many. I mean, it's not a touristy area, so there are not a bunch of hotels around. You know,
Essentially,
it's
there
not
were-
much choice.
Essentially, there were two, and with every hotel that we booked and paid for, mind you, we never really want to go to the really typical small room Parisian things. We want to find something that represents the neighborhood, or is iconic, or cool, or interesting.
Something special.
And in the
about it.
20th, there were two options.
Ideally.
There was Mama Shelter, which is like a youth hostel, which we weren't that interested in, or this one, a new hotel with. They've kind of gone for this international vibe. So there's like,
They really went heavy on like the multiculti. I think that's how they put it. You know, so it's like a mix of all the cultures, which I guess is very significant for the 20th.
yeah, like you might find like a Buddha statue on the wall,
Yeah.
or like an old, I don't know. There was like,
There's a big melange.
yeah, and the food, the chefs there are from different parts of the world and so on.
It was. It was really nice.
It
It
was
was
nice.
new, clean, friendly stuff.
A nice hotel, perfect, does the job.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yep. I would stay there again if I was in the
Yeah,
20s.
sure.
Yeah. Anyway, let's wind up with the next day, what we did on the next day, and our final thoughts, I think. So we did another huge day of walking because it's so big, just so big, this district. Yeah, I kind of think in the future districts, we'll have to sort of pick neighborhoods a little better.
Yeah.
Because we kind of just want to try and see everything, and it's just too big. For 24 hours, you're going to have to... Especially because we stayed in Belleville, which is in the corner. We made it a little harder on ourselves.
Yeah, and we wanted to walk. Well, we wanted to like find a spot on the other side.
Exactly,
of
because
the
when you leave the hotel, we always had to go the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we set our sights on the street art up there, which is
Yeah.
it's famous for, and it's really cool. And a cafe that was excellent.
Very
The
good.
Dancing Goat
Yes.
up on Avenue Gambetta.
A beautiful space, huge windows, very bright, very fresh.
Some locals that I talked to got in touch to say how cool they found it when I shared some pictures because they didn't know it existed.
Oh, nice.
But I found it through a friend of mine who's been on the show before that runs Kutum,
Yeah.
told me about it, and
A
young
real
guy.
coffee nerd.
Oh yeah, Tom Clark. We can give him. He won't be listening. Young British guy that's running it, really charming. We had a chat with him. It's like if more places like that open up around there, that whole area is going to change.
Yeah.
like gentrification, everything. That's a coffee shop that could be anywhere in Paris.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, it's great.
And what did you think about the street art?
Well, I thought it was cool. It was maybe not as much as I had hoped for or maybe even remembered. Yeah, I wouldn't maybe trek out there to go and look at the street art, but it's cool when it pops up.
I feel like the 14th and maybe 13th arrondissement are better for street art.
Okay.
But essentially, like, there was one big concentration of it on Rue de Retrait.
Yeah.
And it was cool to walk down that street, and it's like the whole building, sides of the building were
Oh, yeah, there were
painted.
huge
Murals,
walls of it, yeah.
But At the same time, when we were there was construction going on the street, and it was a bit
Grey day.
Yeah, it was a great day too, and it wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't exactly charming.
Yeah.
Like in the Butokai in the 13th, 14th down there, that's like a village sort of, so you get a really different vibe.
Yeah, no, it's not exactly what I maybe had in mind, but it was cool. It was fun.
So I think what we can do before we sort of end this episode and set our sights on the 19th arrondissement is I think we need to start a ranking of the district so that we can find out which is the best.
Okay, so how are we going to rank it? Like 1 to 10, sort of, or?
Yeah, well, we've come up with the ultimate way to score a district, and for this episode, because it's the first, I think it's fair that I explain a little bit. It's based on 5 categories that sum up visiting a neighborhood. So, for example, there's strollability, as in how easy it is to go for a stroll and what you're going to find. Affordability, that's obvious. Shareability, you know, when you're going around taking pictures, how easy is it to share with your family or put on social media or whatever, you know, like is it things you want to share? Touristability, as in, you know, like events, things for tourists, easy to find.
Landmarks, that
Exactly.
sort of things, yeah.
And then accessibility, so proximity to everything else in Paris, but also accessibility, like getting there and being able to visit.
Yeah.
So that's the list. And having looked at what I wrote before I get into it, we're going to go through it really quickly. But I want to just add, because I know some scores are low here, that every district that you visit in Paris, the fun is there to be had. And there's good times to be had if you plan it out and you seek it properly.
Of course.
Doesn't mean the whole district is cool. So we haven't looked at each other's scores yet, right? Ready?
Yeah.
So we score them both out of 10. That gives us a score of 100.
Yeah, so 10 is really good.
And
And
0.
zero
Did
is
you give any zeros?
No, did
Okay,
you?
No. Okay, strollability.
Okay, who goes first?
Me, 4.
3.
Okay, not very too big.
Okay, I'm lazier than you.
Lots
as
of
well.
hills. Affordability,
10.
10.
Yeah.
Is probably the cheapest.
Okay.
Yep, in Paris. Shareability,
What do you put?
5.
4.
Yeah.
Well, I live there, you know. It's not new to me.
Touristability, what'd you put?
3.
I put 5.
You put 5?
Yeah, because I was
Why?
thinking,
Tell
well,
me.
like the view over Belleville.
Okay, yeah, that's really nice.
The Ménilmontant, the
Okay.
bars and stuff. Like,
Okay, it's really nice.
yeah.
Yeah, and
can't
the
change that.
no, but now I want to
No,
put
that's
5.
good. It gives us an average of 4. And accessibility.
I put it 3 again.
I put 2.
You put 2
It's
there.
too far away from Paris.
Yeah.
By the way, the touristability, Père Lachaise as well.
Yes, true. And I was thinking like the Rue Charon as well, which we didn't even
Yeah.
visit this
Yeah.
time.
But it's too big.
But
for
it's so
24
big,
hours.
exactly. So I got a full score of 23.
Okay, I got 26.
Okay.
So that makes
I'm stingy.
49. It
Yeah.
failed.
It failed.
But I didn't know that we'd fail it. No,
Is-
it's not
is
a
a fail under
no,
50?
No, it's not a fail.
No.
But the point is, and I think we knew this one going in, is this is a bit of a different district. It's far away. It's very residential. If
Yeah.
you come into Paris to visit, there are definitely cool things to find there, like world-class things to find there. But in terms of spending 24 hours there, if you're here in Paris for the experience of your life, there are other districts for you.
Yeah, probably wouldn't go stay in the 20th if it was my first trip to Paris. If you've been here,
you
like
lived there for
I
the
lived,
first trip.
and it was really cool.
Yeah.
Like
But
I
then you go
really
residential.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it was so much to do, lots of bars and lots of young people and very happening, but maybe not for a holiday.
Fair enough. Well, there you go. 49 out of 100
That's
is
right.
the 20th arrondissement, which is the highest score so far, so it's winning.
It's the only score so far.
I'm going to wind this up by saying addresses of every single thing that we did will be in the show notes below. I'll put it on the earfultower.com. Also, we've made a really nice guide that might turn into some kind of guidebook at the end that I've already shared with Patreon supporters.
What's coming up?
It's easy to
What
figure
could
it out.
it be?
But I'll give the people at home a teaser if they can't figure it out. When you're in Europe, think about canals. Think about hiring a boat and sailing down along the canal, passing all the beautiful bridges and the shops. Is that an Italian accent? No. But where am I talking about? No, it's not Venice. It's the canals of the 19th arrondissement. And we, on our visit there, we totally focused on the canal. One of the coolest, most up-and-coming places in Paris. We stayed literally on the canal.
Much like animals who flock to water.
Exactly.
That's right.
I interviewed two people who work on the canal, and... well, there's a lot more to share as well. This is the Paris Countdown. My name's Oliver.
And I'm Lina.
And I'm excited to see the rest of Paris.
Yes.
Let's do it.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.